Hello, I'm Danielle from the Cobbled Kitchen, but today for Gardens of Earthworks here in St Albans, a wonderful facility for helping adults with learning disabilities, and we can all benefit from just being outside, eating healthily, cooking fresh, and that's what I'm here to show you today. I'm going to make some kebabs. I've got some halloumi here for the vegetarians. You can use tofu, but you can use anything you like. Mushrooms, prawns, whatever. And I'm just going to strip off some of this, the middle section of the leaf. And the wonderful thing about rosemary is it contains a lot of oils, so you don't have that problem of the sticks burning. You know, with bamboo sticks you have to soak them in water, but this should be absolutely fine and should hold itself well. Goes so well. We want quite a lot because this is going to coat all over some vegetables. I take off the root first, pull away, that clears one side, and then I just give it a bit of a squish, and there it should release all in one go. A little bit of the papery skin doesn't harm anybody. Chuck that in. These are quite fat, so I'll probably just use these two. And to help with drawing out all of those oils and flavours, salt is more than just a flavouring, it's a tool because it draws out oils and sugars and flavours very nicely. I'll put some pepper in there as well. And with all that dry stuff in there, that makes it a lovely sort of abrasive environment to bash it all together. So to that I'm going to add the wetter ingredients. So a good glug of olive oil. This is extra virgin olive oil because we're making a dressing effectively. It is going to be cooked, and it's a lovely colour. So we're going to make quite a bit because we want to make sure that everything gets covered. And this is some lovely honey which actually comes from the hives in their orchard here at Earthworks. So I recommend you supporting Earthworks and coming and buying some of this from there. You won't see it in the shops because it's even more special. And I'm just going to take some out. It's quite solid, but it'll thin down. There we go. And what would help to cut through all of the oil and those strong flavours is some lemon juice. I'm just catching the pips. And even if you get any of pips in there, it doesn't matter because this dressing is just going to cover the vegetables, but the big things like pips will just fall off anyway. So there you go, mix that in. You can have a bit more lemony if you like. And don't worry about proportions of things. It's either more oily or more lemony or more honey and rosemary or garlic, and all of those are wonderful on their own. So just think, what sort of consistency do you want for it to coat the kebab ingredients? And there we go. So there's the dressing done. I'm just going to set that aside, and I've got some chunky chopped courgettes here. Try to avoid cutting them in thick discs because they just spin around your bamboo sticks or your skewers, whatever you're going to use. Not so bad on the rosemary sticks, but if you get some points, then they catch the heat, you get a bit of caramelization, more flavour, and it looks more beautiful as well. So I always advise to chunky chop things. And to that I'm going to add some other colourful food. And do you know what? You don't even have to cut these with a knife. Just rip them apart, take out the bits. There we go. And those jaggedy edges will hold on to the dressing even more than a nice smooth edge. There we go. Let's rip them in. take out the pithy bit, because that can be a little bit bitter, just like on the inside of a chilli. Just push the core in, rip apart, tap out the pips. So this is the sort of thing you could do on the beach, on holiday. This is my kind of picnic, rather than a load of soggy sandwiches squished into a Tupperware box. Okay, and to that I'm not going to use my fingers to cut an onion, but some lovely red onion, big chunks again, so good for you, full of antioxidants. Don't think there's a meal that goes by without using onion in some form. I'm going to quarter these and then half across that way, and that way you should get some big enough pieces to skewer through. Don't do anymore. So into that goes your halloumi or your tofu. We'll do a bit of a mixture so that you can see. I might cut those a bit smaller. You'll know with experience how big, how small to chop these things. Halloumi has a horrible nature of just cracking and falling apart no matter how you cut it. So, but just go with it. There we go. So there's our veg. I'm going to pour this dressing all over that. Get as much out as possible. Don't want to waste it. And then I need a plate to go over the top. Something like that will do. Just hold it in. Just give it a good shake. And that way you get everything covered. I can smell the dressing come even through the gaps of this plate and bowl. There we go. Everything's nicely dressed. So that's when you need to find your stick that you've already prepared. And hopefully there's a pointy end. If there isn't, you could always just sort of cut to make a sharp skewer, if you like. And then go through these all the way through. A bit of halloumi. Please don't break. There we go. Right up to the end, and I've left those there just to make it look nice. And then go randomly with the alternating colours. Bit of onion. So there's one already done. I'm just going to put that straight onto there. There's a little bit of oil, but remember there is some in the dressing anyway. So we'll just keep an eye on that, and I'll make some more while that's cooking. Oh, you can just see how these are charring really nicely. They're pretty much done, really. It's up to you as to how much you want the vegetables to be soft or tender. I quite a little bit of crunch. So I'd say these were done. Can plate them up. So there we go. They're done. And now I can get on with something to go very nicely with this. Okay, so to go with our kebabs, I thought us gardeners always have too much of something at some point in the growing season, and very often that can be chard or spinach, like I picked earlier from here, and there's loads of it, but the beauty of this is it just wilts down to virtually nothing. So there are so many things you could do with your spinach leaves. A great thing I did this year was I just put it into my food processor, whizzed it up, along with all the pancake ingredients on Shrove Tuesday, and I made green pancakes, which were just fantastic actually. They didn't really taste very spinachy, so but we had them with mushrooms and creme fraiche and garlic and things like that. So you know, you can get them into pretty much anything. Curries, just put them in at the end, they'll wilt down. But for this, I am going to just wilt them down, so I'll just roughly chop them, stalks and all. And while looking around the garden, I thought, I recognised a weed. This garlic mustard. It's edible. The flowers are edible, the leaves, the stem, and even the roots, I believe. But I'm going to use the flowers and the leaves just so that they're the same sort of, you know, they're floppy and flimsy, just like the spinach. Chop that in there. And this has, as the name suggests, a garlicky, mustardy flavour. Quite bitter sometimes, a bit like rocket as well. But it'll add a certain sharpness to this. And I am completely making this up as I go along. You know me, I cobble things together. But why not? All of these things grow at a similar time of year. So to me, that's Mother Nature saying they will go very, very nicely together. So they're the soft leaves. These lovely charred stalks, look at those rainbow colours there, all fantastic for you. I'm just going to roughly chop the stalks and probably start off cooking those, and then I'll add the leaves because they need less cooking. So I need a pan. Might not be big enough, but we'll see. Or I just thought for a change, we use this a lot. This is a vegan spreadable pretend butter, and it's delicious. It's absolutely fantastic. My kids love it. We use this all the time. But what's nice about this, it's always soft, so it's never too hard like butter out of the fridge. And it has a lovely creaminess, but it's all from various different types of nuts. And it just works so well for cooking as well as for spreading on your toast. So I'll just melt that down. So this way we're getting a sort of a creamy dressing to go over these veg. I'm going to throw in those stalks first of all. A little bit of salt and pepper. You could put some slithers of garlic in this if you wanted to. I'll just put a few to help bring out the flavour of the garlic mustard. Oops. Nice and thin. And you want this to sweat down rather than to fry. So I'll just put that in there. And that really is all you need in terms of flavouring these wonderful vegetables. This is wilted down really nicely. The juices are coming out into the oils. There's no measurements, there's no certain quantities. Just use what you've got and whack it in there. That will go down very easily. Even those flowers, look. See, it's already going down. I didn't even need to wash this because the heat is going to kill off anything anyway. So I just want to turn it over. There we go. And to help it along a little bit, put a lid on to keep the steam inside so it doesn't all evaporate, and then you get a nice little sauce, and it just sort of cooks it from the top then as well as from the bottom. So that won't need very long at all. And there we go. I'm just going to Put a splash of olive oil on there because I think the wind here has helped to evaporate it a lot more quickly than it would have done indoors. And there we go. And that is ready to serve. And I'm just going to put it here next to my kebabs. And you can let that go cold and it's suddenly a salad, or you keep it nice and warm with your kebabs. And it just looks lovely and colourful. So that's our kebabs and the chard and spinach with some weeds, some herbs and garlic. To go with that, I'm going to make a salsa verde now with some herbs that you can grow yourself or you can buy. I do recommend that if you are buying them, get them in bunches, treat them like cut flowers. You cut the bottoms off, take off any loose leaves, put them in water. This is just a jam jar. A bag around them helps. Put it in the fridge and that will last for at least 2 weeks, if not more, if you change the water, just like flowers. So that's brilliant because then you can use the stalks for cooking as well as the leaves for garnishing. So I'm now going to make a salsa verde with some herbs. And again, it's one of those recipes where you just throw in whatever flavours you think go well together. And we're going to dress some newly boiled Jersey potatoes, which will go very nicely with our kebabs over there. So for a quick salsa verde, which is basically a green sauce made with lots of herbs, I would probably start off with the bigger proportion of parsley. So take a big handful of parsley. That is packed full of vitamin C, and you can almost taste the iron in it. Let's use some garlic mustard. Why not? It's there. I'm going to just take off those nice delicate bits. Throw that in. Some coriander. Again, another nice handful, maybe not quite as much as the others, because the coriander and mint provide the lovely sort of aromatic herbs, and the parsley is like your sort of foundation upon which the others can just shine against, really. So some mint. The smaller leaves are always nicer than the bigger, older ones. And I just sort of put them in a pile. You can get boards with a dip in them, which is quite helpful. And I'll just roughly chop them first of all. So get them roughly chopped and then they won't escape quite so much. And then on top of that we can start putting a load of other things, like, of course, we're going to use more garlic. You can never have enough garlic. These are really fat jumbo cloves, so there's quite a lot in this. I might just use half of it because this is raw, remember, so raw garlic is obviously much stronger than cooked. So we'll start off with a little bit, and I chop everything into the herbs so they act like the board and stop everything from flying off. I'm even going to use those leaves, can you see, just to wipe the knife. Bury those in there. What else can we add? We could add a dollop of whole grain mustard or French mustard. We'd add chili to this. The world is your oyster, really. But these do tend to go together. This is wonderful, little lemon zester. Let's get some lemon zest in there. I will add some juice, but I'll hold that for later. Lemon zest is full of that lovely citrus freshness. So you can already tell that the garlic, the honey and the lemon are going to balance each other out. And then for a little bit of a pungent kick, I'm going to add some capers into that. You can use gherkins. You could even use chopped up olives if you like to get that sort of salty kick, or anchovies again, but we're sticking with a vegan version here. And then you just keep going through it. Now you can go with a knife like this, or you could use a mezzaluna, which is really quite useful. And you just keep going through it all and gathering it together, going in different directions. And it's much quicker. So the garlic gets all crushed up. I'm going to lose some of this down through the gaps of this table, but that's the beauty of al fresco cooking. Just push it through. You've got to be careful with the blades on a mezzaluna, they are very, very sharp. And it just gets mushier the more you do it. There we go. You can smell everything coming together now. Okay, we will do a little bit more, but let's add some of the liquid. So that's in the form of olive oil and some lemon juice. Messy fingers, but again, artists are always very messy. It's either paint or food or whatever else. Bit of olive oil. Again, I've no idea how much, but enough to cover that. People are always asking me how much of this and how long to cook something. Use your eyes, you know. I wanted some on all of it, so I covered it all. So I think of things proportionally, and then you'll be okay in terms of amounts. Let's start with half a lemon. The other thing, of course, is to taste things as you go along. That's the best indicator of whether something is okay or whether it needs something adding to it. So you can see that even on a flat board, doing it like this, layered up like that, you can still get a really nice sauce made. And that looks lovely. You can start to see the grains of mustard and the garlic, little flashes of white garlic. There we go. I don't want to leave any of that behind. There we go. So you just gather that together. If you want it runnier, let's add a bit more juice. A bit more juice and a bit more oil. And that is going to be ready to pour over some nice hot, freshly cooked potatoes here. Even if they're not hot, it doesn't matter. It can go as a cold salad. These are still quite warm, a little bit of steam there. So obviously that will have a different effect than if we put them on cold. I'm just going to... You can make this so it's runny enough to drizzle and pour and look a little bit more attractive. But out here, I'm just going to get that in there, really, and make a potato salad with all those herbs in there. And you've just increased the nutritional value of that dish there 100-fold by adding all those herbs. And together with that, on our plate of kebabs, spinach and chard, let's just get it all out there. Look at that. That is a feast. A feast totally inspired by the garden. Even some weeds, you can make some beautiful food. So I hope that's given you some ideas as to how to cook with what you've got around you, using local produce, supporting local initiatives, growing your own. All of it comes together in a plate of delicious food for your friends and family. I hope you enjoy it.
That is good.